Hello everyone, today we are going to be taking a look into the career, life and games of Mikhail Tal, chess's ultimate genius, the best attacking player and the most creative and brilliant player ever. So Mikhail Tal was born in 1936 on November 9th in Riga, Latvia. Latvia back in the day still part of the Soviet Union, and therefore Tal was part of the Soviet chess school. Now what made Tal special is he wasn't just a swindler, like an attacking player who just won by using his opponent's stupid moves. But no, his endgames were on point, and oftentimes he would attack, get a slightly better position, and then grind it out in an endgame. But in this game, it was nothing like that. So Tal played basically every move, but he loved playing d4 and e4 the most. Now in e4 he'll play normal open Sicilians and like Spanishes, but here he played d4, and he chooses like kind of weird line against this King's Indian here, because he chose like I think this is called the Robach, and he aims to play e5, but also play in like a Catalan style, and this is very based on piece play and not like a traditional King's Indian where it's more about attacking everything. So castles, bishop to g2, and now knight bd7. Castles e5, and now queen to c2. He ignores this because if he takes, knight takes, Tal is basically saying that his bishop and his knight here are very strong, and he has some nice pieces, and e4 is getting in. But he doesn't do that. He plays rook e8. Now rook to d1 with the idea of simply defending d1, and he definitely wants to rip open the structure here. And after c6, he now takes the time to play b3. b3 aims to put the bishop either on a3 or b2, and it's a very flexible move. And he's kind of trying to play like this double fianchetto style and just rip open the structure. Queen c2, now e4. Now he just takes the entire center, and he's just a bit better here because his opponent didn't take advantage. I think here, here if he takes like back here, after queen c2 he could have taken, and this would have been good. But now this moment has passed, and after e4 he has to play like a6, and it's just a bit worse here actually. Robert Skuja. I mean bishop a3 now, and you can kind of see Tal's idea here. Tal wants to use his bishop to snipe down the board, and then he's going to use his centralized pieces to create some play in the center. And he also wants to play c5 here with the bishop on a3. But now Robert plays c5. He probably saw Tal wants to play c5, so why don't I play c5? Sounds innocent enough, but after takes, knight takes in b4, his position isn't that good. Like, b4 was a bad move. He should have played knight to e1. Just kind of dumb, but like bishop d7, the entire idea is just play queen d2, and here bishop f8 has to be played, but it's just a natural move, and just simply queen d6. Yeah, so bishop f8, and the idea is to play knight c2 and get the knight on d5, because this square is so weak with the bishop looking here, and if a pawn got to the square, like the c file would just be ripped open, and that would be great. But he doesn't find the right plan, but instead he gives his opponent a bit of play. Here he has to play b5, but obviously Tal's not going to play b5, he's going to play c5 because he is Tal. And now he's kind of worse, and this is kind of the reason why some Soviet players thought that Tal was just some lousy swindler, because he clearly did not spot the correct plan by putting the knight on d5. Like someone like Botvinnik might have played knight e2, knight e1, knight c2, knight e3, knight d5. But Tal wasn't about that. Tal just wanted to rip open the structure and create an attack. Now he takes, and now he goes knight d5. And the point is that if takes, which is what happened in the game, now he plays queen a4, attacking the rook, and after bishop to d7, he just takes on b4, simply. And Tal is a bit better here, but Robert is actually kind of equalized here because it is plus 0.1. So he plays a5. And now Tal uncorks his first brilliant move, d takes e6. Crazy move. Looks stupid, but it works. So the point is that if takes, which happens in the game, now rook to d7. Now here, it's actually a little bit better for Tal, but actually quite equal if queen d7. Because this. And Robert probably saw this line because he is at the end of the day a GM, but he just thought that after bishop b4 he'll be down the pawn worse, but that is just simply not true. If takes, he probably saw this exact line, now knight to g5, and he's getting to like e4, and this is kind of bad actually for him. At least that's what he thought, because it really isn't. And if you just play something like e4 here, knight e5 has to be played. He has to sack his knight. And now play rook to d1. And if anybody is winning this, it's probably Robert, even though Tal is a bit better. Because he just has a piece more and Tal has to play very, very accurately to not lose this game. But I mean, this is threatened, so this is kind of the line. Bishop b7, and this is the position we get with equal material, and opposite color bishop endgame, and this is just a draw. But that didn't happen. But rook d7, queen c3. His first mistake of the game. ef7. And here if he plays king h8, he can still definitely survive, because after he promotes, he has to play something like rook c1, and now rook to c7, e4, rook g7, ef3, rook h7, king g8, rook g7, and now rook f7 and bishop f3. And this is threatened. And Tal's better here, definitely, but it's not that clear because his king isn't actually mated, like he kind of got in the game. Yeah, so queen c2, queen c3, and now ef7, that's what we just went over, but now king f8, which I don't know why he would play king f8. Because clearly, Tal is trying to checkmate him. Probably he saw this exact line with rook c1. Oh, I'm sorry, with rook c1. And he just thought that he would be worse and getting checkmated, but he wasn't. I mean, yeah. So yeah, but Tal makes a queen here. And if, by the way, if you're wondering, rook e8, to not hang the bishop here, just rook c1, and now rook to c7. And these rooks are so good. They are like worth 15 points or something. And now simply knight to g5. If takes, there's simply going to be a checkmate with bishop d5. But that doesn't happen. Instead, Tal takes with the king. Robert takes with the king. And now rook d1. And these cannons are pointed at the king. Knight g5 is coming in. The bishop is coming in. And this is already very much worse. Now bishop h6 can kind of save him. Takes and takes. Oh, no wait. Rook takes. And this is still winning for Tal almost. But, I mean, Robert has some chance. He has this pawn here. This pawn could be falling. And I mean, he definitely could still hold this. But he plays bishop f6 and now almost immediately loses the game. But not because of the move that Tal played. If Tal would have played rook 7 to d3, he would have stayed winning. Which is just a crazy move because you're in this attacking mood. You want to bring more pieces in like this. You know, maybe like this. So he doesn't play that. He plays bishop c1. But this is still winning. This is an incredible move because the idea is to bring the knight to g5. Rook a2 and now knight g5. And here he has one move that kind of, I wouldn't say holds the position, but he's still surviving. Rook e2. Point is knight h7, rook e1, bishop f1, and now bishop e7. And there is not much play here. After it takes. Tal is +1. But I mean, these pawns are coming in and black does have a queen. So maybe this black could still hold this. But he plays queen c2 and immediately loses the game to knight to e4. Knight e4 seems innocent enough. Because of bishop e7, which is what happens in the game, it doesn't look like Tal has much of an attack, but he does. Rook e7. An incredible move. The engine didn't even quite get it. Like at first it was saying like +1 maybe, but now it's saying +3 and this is completely winning. King e7, and now bishop g5. Now if king e8, this is simply going to be a checkmate here with bishop h6 and knight coming in. If let's say king f7, this is the same thing. Oh, this is the same thing. And yeah, if king e6, this is also, he's also getting brutally checkmated here. So he chooses king f8 because he saw this checkmate because he is a GM. But he is actually completely losing here after the move which Tal plays, rook d8. And rook d8, if king f7, this is again the same mate we saw with the bishop and the knight. So he doesn't do that. He plays king g7, seems innocent enough, rook d7 check. King h8, and now what would you play here? Probably bishop f6. Makes sense, right? But in this position, you can't make any progress except if you play h4, which Tal does immediately, which is the best move. If you never play h4, then you're never going to mate him, because the point is you want to kind of crack open the king and use your bishop here. So what does he do? He plays rook to a1 check. And this is also the idea of h4. You want to secure a king, which now happens. And now rook d1. He tries to trade rooks. And here Tal can simply take the pawn. Knight f6 coming in, and he's just getting checkmated here. But he plays knight d6. Kind of a more fancy move, but really unnecessary, actually. Yeah, and I mean, he plays queen f2, which is not a final blow. I mean, if he would have just played rook d6, it's still losing. I mean, but he is at least not getting mated. Like, this is just now +5, and after knight f7 check, he can already resign, but he plays a few moves, you know, king g7, bishop h6 now, not important. If you just get like greedy and take the rook, queen f7, and you're not actually winning anymore. Or if you get greedy and take the pawn, same thing, you're actually losing here. So bishop h6 has to be played. This is an only move, and the point is that now the king has to step somewhere where the knight can't be taken by the queen anymore. So if king g8, you might say, not that knight can be taken, but it can't be because of checkmate. So bishop h6 is a very important inclusion. So he plays king f6, and now as you can see, the queen no longer eyes this. And if takes and king takes, now rook f1. And this is just, of course, losing with two bishops here. So he now plays rook d1 and b3. He tries to do something with his pawn, but this is to no avail. This is losing. Rook f1 simply. And, you know, e4. I mean bishop c4. He just stops the pawn. To the check, and this is just completely winning. If you would have played b2 immediately, it wouldn't have changed anything. Just simply bishop d3, and even though you're losing the knight, you don't really care about that. It's simply bishop d2, and it's just obviously completely winning with these two bishops here. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this game, this crazy attacking game, in this kind of weird opening, and Tal just played it pretty masterfully. I mean, you can definitely learn something from this, that even though the engine might not like your moves, it doesn't matter, because your opponent isn't the engine. And this, I mean, this is one of the craziest queen sacks ever. And yeah, I mean, his opponent didn't find the crucial moves, but of course Tal also played amazing. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please subscribe, like, comment, and I'll see you next time. Bye.